It looks like we are a lot.
There's no chair over there. Around that corner there.
Yeah, we're still moving up to the top. Basically chairs us. All right, once everyone's settled, I'll let everyone know what we're doing. All right, so it's an institutional building for 11. We're talking about the capital bill and we're with the Department of Corrections today. So, take it away.
Okay, thanks. Hi, everyone. I'm Chris Calver, Deputy Commissioner of PMC. I've got a lot of folks here. We'll probably add flavor to what I'll work through with you all. I'm going to work off your web report to make things easy. And we begin on line 20, section 3. Great. Let's see if you can hear this. And item 1 there is funding to continue the work for adding HVAC, air conditioning specifically, into our correctional facilities. Last year, we got $5.9 million to start in Southern, where the folks with most chronic care needs, our geriatric population is there. So that's where we chose to start. This funding will continue that work. Might pitch to our friends at BGS to let us know which facility is tagged to be up next. But this at least keeps the project rolling forward.
And I think as we go along, maybe it would make sense to ask questions on each line.
Sure.
So,
Yep.
so any of us folks, do we have any questions on this?
Yeah, just how long?
Go ahead, Cindy.
What's the schedule of the project?
I guess that's my cue.
Happening.
For the record, Joe Agent, Director of Design and Construction for Buildings and General Services. Good afternoon. What we're doing right now is we're going out for construction managers, a construction manager firm to do the permanent installation. And we're also working on our retainer contracts to get in contractors to do the temporary AC that we're looking to do. So we're looking to do temporary AC at Springfield, Northern State, and then also at St. Johnsbury. And that we hope to get done late summer. And I know we might miss this year. We may catch the last end of it. All depends on how quickly equipment comes in. Unfortunately, this equipment is not made here in the US, so the price might be a little different. And then we also have on the long term, we're underway in design for the permanent air conditioning system in all 3 facilities. And when we get a construction manager on board, I'll be able to let you know how that is progressive. But right now, Springfield is first, then there'll be Northern State Correctional Facility in Newport, and then St. Johnsbury.
Okay, thanks. And will the AC be in all of the units? The temporary?
The temporary will not be there, working with corrections to pick specific areas to use sort of as an area of refuge to go in and cool off. The permanent AC will be throughout the whole facility.
So will the temporary AC be available to the residents?
Yes.
Okay.
A lot of it's day rooms and or conference rooms that everybody has access to use.
Okay. Thank you.
And why the $1 million less? From the governor's recommend you were at 6 million, now you're at 5 million.
We don't believe with the way the prices are going and the speed that we have that we can afford to shut a little bit right now to help out others.
You can or cannot?
I can.
Can.
Yeah, I don't foresee, we have more than enough money to do the Springfield facility, but probably not enough to do Northern State. But again, without having a design in place and starting that process with the construction manager, I don't believe we'll have both underway. This is our second attempt to go out to bid. The first time out, we had no bidders. When we called around and asked why, it's nobody wanted to tackle all 3 at once. So now we've broken it up to the rebid is you can bid on 1, 2, or 3, just to try to get some people to put a price in. Right now, the mechanical contractors out there are very busy.
Great, you answered or asked my questions. there any more questions on, the HVAC upgrades? All right, okay, go ahead.
Next up is, ADA construction to finish up with the settlement that we have with the Department of Justice to make some improvements to our physical plants, related to that settlement. What is remaining for work is to complete a chairlift at Northern State Correctional Facility and another one at Chittenden Regional Correctional Facility. And that extension goes through October of this year, and this funding should complete all of the work that's been required in that settlement.
And that's line.
That is line 21.
Anyone have any questions on
Nope.
it?
Last up from our requests are DOC safety and security funds. We request these somewhat annually or biannually to make improvements to in compliance with the Prison Rehabilitation Act, certain door structures, camera systems, anything related to life safety and security of facilities. These are kind of ongoing upgrades that happen frequently, whether it's system upgrades or improvements to items in the code.
That didn't change from the recommendation. Yeah. All right, thanks.
That's it for us.
Okay.
Yeah,
You
the rest is for Joe. I mean, I could probably talk about them, but you're here, so.
Yes. Yes.
I'm asking a question about the body cams that we were told about that require Wi-Fi, and I remember there was some issues under those might remember a little bit better than I do about the Wi-Fi being included in the budget. Was the budget.
So we have a capital bill, I think we were talking about. We were doing that, so we're not done with that just quite yet.
Yeah, because for me, I'm looking at staff and security, and I'm looking at instances where investigations have happened and instances with the people that are being housed there. So for me, the Wi-Fi, well, not necessarily just the Wi-Fi, having those body cameras is the big issue for me, because I think that will, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but I think cut down on the amount, the length of investigations as well as the number of them. So for me, that's important to beat the bill. So.
Support us too, thank you. So the body cams can still operate without Wi-Fi, but there's some extra steps involved to kind of offload video. And when shift changes and things like that happen, so that would be one thing out of many that the Wi-Fi would really enhance for us.
Is there a request for the Wi-Fi?
It's not part of the governor's recommended budget this year.
Could it be part of the budget?
No, it'll be the Senate, institutions committee recommendation.
Okay, so we're moving on to you.
Sure.
I did submit a slide deck if you want to do that, or I can continue working off of this. Your choice.
Final list with whatever Karen wants.
Yeah, what, did you want us to put the slide deck up on the screen?
Yeah, that'd be helpful, but are the DOC folks, are you all staying for the rest of the presentation? Because I just have a question that's not in this capital bill, but it's been in previous capital bills.
Depends how long Joe's gonna take.
Joe's pretty succinct.
Yeah, he's pretty quick.
I can just, why don't I just tell you my question, which is the women's facility. It's not, as far as I can tell, it's not programmed for any additional funding this year, but this committee does want a presentation about what's happening, an update. And so probably not this meeting today, but another future meeting.
Okay.
Okay. So that's it.
So picking up here on the next on the line is the Rutland at the Marble Valley Regional Correctional Facility. We have the door control and system replacement. This is an ongoing large project. We started in Newport originally. We picked a door control system, camera system, and we're implementing that throughout the state. We completed Southern State Correctional Facility last year, and now we're moving on to St. Johnsbury, both at the Northeast Correctional Facility and the work camp. Once that is complete, we will then pick up at Marble Valley. After that, it'll probably be going to St. Albans at the Northwest Correctional Facility, and last would be, if we're still there, hopefully we're not, at the Michigan Regional Correctional Facility. But that is just one of those things with today's technology. You can see in some of the, which is not being shared.
Oh,
All right.
I thought you'd intended that.
No, I did not. What the intent was to share, and I have no idea why Zoom has not allowed me to share.
Said you're a co-host, so
Right.
there you go.
There you go.
All right, now we're cooking with Crisco.
That's it.
Today, it's
Right. So what you see here, actually the wiring and everything that goes into it, some of the push buttons, and they really no longer make a lot of this stuff. And so that is part of the problem. You just get it. They have our maintenance staff that is shopped on eBay and quite well to get parts and pieces, but they're also running out of stuff. And so as we're progressing through, we can share from the facilities that have been completed to updating it. And then what we're getting into now is really, it's all on touchscreen. It's all computerized, and you can do a lot more from the touchscreen. They can do it also at the podium when they're in the living unit, and also do it from afar, which is a bonus. So they can shut the lights off, turn the water off, things like that, you know, along with just not dealing with just the doors. Camera systems are as well, so that when if you're pushing a button at a certain location of the door to ask to request to go through, the camera automatically goes to that side of the room. So it is a very good system. I think the only downside is it's a computer. And you know, that's just in the future of that, probably in 10 years, we'll be upgrading that software. The door hardware is good for a good 20 years and the likes of that. Get rid of the valves that would shut off the water and circuitry for the lighting, but the software itself will probably be upgraded. So up next in the list here is the St. Johnsbury facility. You can see the locks. We are going through, and a lot of the locks also have to be upgraded. These locks were original from the late 70s. Early 80s, I think, was when St. Johnsbury was done. So now they're completely all electronic. The Northwest State Correctional Facility in St. Albans, what we're looking to do is a roof replacement. We had funding in there last year. The problem is I only received 2 bids. One was 500,000, one was 1.9. Not really sure who was correct. The 1.9, we didn't have the funding for the 1.9. So it was just, I think, the timing and potentially not knowing what they were getting into or gambling. So we decided to hold off and did it this year. Problem being is when we did that, we got bit by the updates in the energy code. So now we're working with a design firm right now to make sure with the added insulation that we're required to add these structural vehicles will it. And then we'll be ready to go out to bid probably in a month or two. And then that work can start mid-summer to late fall.
I mean, that's a incredibly different bids. I mean,
That is correct. That's why it was also canceling the bids. And starting over. The problem was that there just wasn't enough time in the year to really get that back in. And we're doing a considerable amount of the roofs. It's hard to see in the photo on the screen, but it is the darker shaded rooftops that we are tackling. So it's quite a bit of the whole facility that we are removing in this project. While the House brought up one issue is whether or not the booking project was going to interfere with the roof or need the roof to be done because we're going to be expanding on the administration area and the booking area. And it's possible, but I don't know that until we get that booking design complete. And the booking design, the booking area and the administration area is out here. So they need a larger area for the booking process. That appears to be the best way to do that would be to move into the administration area. They need to put an addition on for the administration, and I'll put a little annex out in front for that. Like I said, if we have to touch the roof, I would envision maybe we need additional air handling equipment that would be coming through the roof into that area, and that's how we would be touching it. Northern State Correctional Facility in Newport, we do have a sprinkler system. Dry sprinkler systems are the bane of my existence. Because they're supposed to pitch to drain automatically. You open the valve and all the water drains out. The problem being is that does not always happen. There's low points. And when you get a low point in a dry system, and the dry system is truly dry, other than there's any pockets of water that remains, it'll rush out through the pipe because the air gets to it. And so that is the problem. Back in the day, you used to be able to use antifreeze and do a glycol move. The problem with that is they found out that it was flammable, and that was not a good idea. So now it is completely dry, but that's what we're going to do, is be spending the dollars here to go back through, replace a lot of the piping system that has corroded, as you can see here. And then we might go to, instead of air, to a nitrogen system. Nitrogen molecules smaller than air, so the get these faster so you can find them and you spend more time up there, and also to repitch a lot of the pipes. And that is it.
Okay, all right. Is there any questions about all of these? No, okay. So, Joe, the House did reduce the amount for Northwest from the 1,200,000 to the 1 million, and added language to kind of cross contaminate the booking area with this.
Yes.
Yeah. Are you gonna be able to do it with?
Yes. The hard part right now is pricing. You know, it was one thing it was just the labor. But you know, coming off of COVID, we had labor and materials. The materials were stabilizing. The labor wasn't bad. The part of the labor was actually finding people. But if you had somebody come in, you know, the cost of labor was pretty steady. Now labor is still pretty steady if you get the work, but materials are an unknown. You know, we're having people now, the simple thing with door hardware is that with the tariffs that are coming, there could be an increase in cost. And it's really, we don't have one yet. I don't have an example because of the fluctuation in tariffs. So I think this is a good thing. It's only a warning. And so when it's, the tariff is sort of off, it's like, hurry up and get it here. So that's the game we're playing right now until it, you know, settles down in one way or another. So what the House has done, we accept it, that'll work.
It's far too agreeable.
It wasn't bad this year.
Yeah.
There's always the law though, so. Yeah.
All right, so I think that's it. Do we have anything else?
Let me just ask another question, because it's only been 15 minutes. The systems that you have in the different facilities, do you try to get the same provider when you go to a different facility, like the door control? So that
We would like,
compatible and
it's one of those things where you don't always get the same, even though if you got the same firm. For labor is one thing, it doesn't always work out that way, but when we're looking at materials, yes, we want to be consistent. That way we can use the same materials. So if something breaks, we can't get it quickly, we can go to another facility and they may have something sitting on the shelf that we can use. So we do aim for that.
Yeah, I was thinking more about the systems and the electronic systems and the
Yes, we have
IT.
fixed a system, so that is consistent will be throughout all the facilities.
Okay, so you have one that you have chosen that will be installed in all of the facilities. Is that
That's correct. That is correct.
okay? All right. Yeah, I don't have any more questions.
All right, I think we're all set then.
Okay.
Let's go off.
Thank you all for coming. Hopefully you have something else to do at the State House.